Hello, welcome in. Mega love shout out. Give me one moment, guys. We'll be right with you.
Hey y'all.
Promise, guys, I'll be with you in 1 second. Trying to get my last kid downstairs. 1 second, guys. Okay, thank you guys for being patient. I appreciate having you here. Mega love shout out to all of Team Happy in the building. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I do apologize, guys. I was trying to get my last baby down. He wanted to come up the last minute, and this is grown folk conversation tonight. So let me just welcome everyone in the chat. Abby from Team Happy, Zariah, Lorna, Lizelle, Arlene, Mega Love shout out, Mainland, Meech, Judith, welcome. Sierra, thank you for being here, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate having you. The Woods Way, welcome. Thank you. Acknowledging everybody up on the platform. Look at Kimberly. Hey y'all, you in the chat tonight too? Sherd, welcome. Mega love shout out. Coley, welcome in Nicole. Thank you so much for being here. Deandra, welcome, beautiful. Appreciate you coming through. Moderator Joy, mega love shout out. Building Ace, welcome, beautiful. I know you're in two places here too. Cicely, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Jaylin, Tabashing, Luella, Moderator Joy, I believe I said that. All of Team Happy. Mega love shout out. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm me. Thank you. Tonight, guys, we have part 2 for International Love. Again, the guest on my panel is, I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves, starting with Judith.
Hello, I am Judith. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, I'm Lacey from Building Ace Legacy.
Hi guys, it's Kimberly and Kimberly Arlinda.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much. I see East Dad is in the building. Welcome, King. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate having you. Thought you would go away to that meet and greet. Guess you just did one recently, so you couldn't do a second. Good to have you here, sir. Thank you so much. Tonight's topic, guys, again, part 2 for International Love. We all are either engaged or married or dating Nigerian men, and we just want to come and complete the first segment. It was too lengthy, and we had to propose a part 2, so here we are. Unfortunately, we were not able to do it 2 weeks ago because I fell ill and also Lacey, but we are here tonight to complete part 2, which is back by popular demand, I would like to say. East Dad, what you say? Look at all this woman power. I know that's right, King. Yes, we are in the building. We did not come to play tonight, East Dad. Why don't you hang around? And if you know a few fellas, why don't you send them on over? Go ahead and call them. Put in the call. Put a message in a bottle. Put out an APB. Let them know we over here and we doing this. Come on through. So, the first question that I have for you ladies, and we can answer them, Judith, and then Lacey, and then Kimberly. Do you find it hard to stay mad or break up with Nigerian men?
I don't find it hard, but it can be very strenuous and long, drawn out because of the way that they do things in their culture. Good.
I agree with that. I don't find it hard because if I'm mad at you, I'm just mad at you. Like, with whatever your friends coming to, beg on your behalf and try to make me not be mad at you, that's not going to work. So I feel like if I'm already mad at you, then no, just let me get out myself. And then when I don't want to be mad at you anymore, then I won't be mad at you.
Y'all are cut from a different cloth because I find it very hard to stay mad and break up. Like to this day, I have told Nigerian, we are not together. I am a single woman. And he'll still say, no, we still together. No, you still my wife and stuff like that. So I'm not, we're going to be together in the end. Don't worry about it. It's just for right now type stuff. So I just feel like they have, they look at relationships as if they are the ones to let it go. Like the woman doesn't decide that the relationship is over. Anytime I talk about breaking up or, being, trying to put some sort of boundaries or like, I don't want to say label, but try to figure out like what are we, because we're not really together. We are co-parenting, kinda. We live in two different countries. You have a wife already and another baby. And it's just like whenever I'm trying to decide, okay, what are the dynamics? What's most important? How do we describe what we are? He was like, oh, you want to be the man. You want to be the man now. So it's just like it's like it's up to him to decide when it's done. But in my eyes, I'm in America. He's in Africa. I do my thing. He's doing his thing.
Well, I agree with Kimberly. It is very hard. Again, this isn't my first guy that I've dated from Africa. They're very clingy. Not only to myself, but to my family. Like she said, I'm still your husband whenever me and Tony, we can just have a difference of opinions. And he have to remind me that he's my husband. I know exactly who you are. When I want to talk about the what ifs, he can't even handle that type of conversation. He normally like, let's just get there. Let's just cross that bridge when we get there. He can't even entertain the idea that what if we separate? We can't hold those type of conversations. Again, because he don't want to entertain the idea. However, the times, like I said, when we do have problems, he goes to my mom. I said that in part 1. He goes to my mom because he wants my mother to call me like she always do. What you do to Tony? Y'all got to work it out. Y'all know them kids love Tony, and it's not an option. And what did I say in part 1? He said, you can divorce me all you want. I'm never going to divorce your family. So where is he going? Where is he going? And how easy would that be? And like Kimberly touched on, when you do have a problem and you separate or you break up with your African mate, partner, husband, whatever, they will go and get their friends, their pastors, their family members, anybody that'll come on their behalf to talk to you, to tell you all the reasons why y'all need to make it work out. They're going to do that. They do not have a problem with that. But if you remember in part 1, I told you I had to learn to embrace that part of the culture because I was still in the mindset of, oh no, we don't do that over here. We don't go tell them what's going on under our roof. And after it happened a few times and we sat down because we come to the table and he said to me, this is what we do in my culture. We go to the family. It's not for you to go to your girlfriends because your girlfriends are going to give you bad advice and tell you you don't have to be with him. Come back and date American men. You don't have to put up with that. Whereas the family are going to push for you guys to stay together. And so, yes, again, it's very hard to break up.
I'm sorry, I might have misunderstood the question. I thought you asked, is it hard to stay mad at them, not to break up with them?
I said stay mad and or break up. Yes. Yeah. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, because what I went off of was the staying mad at you part. Because I mean, if if anything, we get into something or I'm mad at you, then that's why I answered how I answered. Because if I'm mad at you, I'm just mad at you. Like your friends and stuff can't come to me and be like, all right, you need to stop being mad at them. No, it don't work that way. Like, you got to let me process myself. However, the breaking up part, I do agree on the other hand, because I do feel like it's hard to break up with them because they're very consistent with it. And it's like never ending. And I'm going to put myself out there a little bit. The first guy I spoke to, till this day, he will still try to get in contact. He still got people like, yo, listen, he really loved you. You got to talk to him. So I do feel like it's very hard to leave one of them alone. But on the first half of that question, I feel like if I'm mad at you, you just have to just let me process.
Okay, so now it appears that we're all somewhat on the same page when it comes to that. Absolutely. Now that Lacey's had clarification, she too obviously agrees. And I was wondering when she said that, I was going to remind you of guy number one. Because
I was answering from the being mad at you aspect, not the breaking up aspect. But yes, I agree with the breaking up completely. Because at some point it gets kind of like too much. Like, you need to leave me alone, okay? I'm with somebody else. I done had a whole nother baby, about to get married, everything. Like, leave me alone. But it is very hard to break up and for them to realize, like, oh, this person really not messing with me.
Exactly, because I just wanted to add that your guy number one called me to work on you a number of times. So absolutely, I was going to remind you that maybe you wanted to reconsider your answer. Okay, so moving on to question number 2. How do you feel about your Nigerian partner or spouse speaking their language in a social setting in your presence? Does that bother you, ladies? Go ahead, Lacey.
Yeah, I'll start because my mom had to step away for a phone call. I don't know if it really bothers me, but he don't do it. Like, if I'm on the phone with him or something, and somebody woke up and speak their language, then he'll either ignore them or he'll tell them English. So it doesn't bother me if he was to do it though, but he doesn't do it.
For me, I think it's the sexiest thing on the earth. But no, like I it happened a lot. Obviously, it happens a lot. So I have to tell you guys a little bit of a story. I can pick up on cues and feelings and like the mood or the vibe of the conversation. And if I feel like it's going a negative way, like I know how to speak up for myself because all of them speak English, okay? Everybody in Africa, like most Africans speak at least 2 languages, at least, and with English being the primary one. So it's not like they can't speak English, but whenever I met his brother, I do not care too much for his brother, but whenever I met his brother and some of his friends, they don't convince Daniel to stay with me. They actually saying, why are you with her? She's so disrespectful, because I speak my mind and I'm just not what they consider to be like a what do you call that when people submissive woman. So when I'm around them, they don't change their language for me. Like they will just speak whatever. When I'm around his family, they try to speak English the whole time, or they would try to translate or something because his mom doesn't speak very good English. But so when I'm around people who actually care about me, they make sure that I know, and they're respecting the fact that I don't speak their language. But his friends, or some of his friends that I've met thus far, not all of them, but the ones I don't like, they don't change. And they say, they talk and they speak and they blah, 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 and this and that. But I can pick up on things, because I have been in situations where I worked with a Vietnamese lady, and I don't know how to speak a bit of Vietnamese, but I could tell y'all what they said. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll just butt into the conversation. I was like, oh, so they was like, you understand Vietnamese? And I'll be like, no, but I know what the vibe of the conversation is, and I could put the context clue together. So when they think I don't know what's going on, he'd be like, how do you know what we said? And I just be like, I don't know. I guess God is just telling me, the Holy Spirit, I don't know. But I know he better not say that again. So it's just like that. Like, so a lot of his friends, or the ones that I've met and I don't like, they don't like me. And I don't like it when they speak their language around me, but I can still pick up on bad vibes. Like I can know when it's just them just having a good time and it's a guy talk, or them talking about me. So I don't mind it. I think it's really sexy to see him speaking his language. Like, especially when he's on the phone handling business. So I just think that's amazing. I love it. I encourage him to speak his language as much as possible, because you know what? The more he speaks it, the more I learn. So
Me, myself, I've never been intimidated sitting in a social gathering, because I'm confident in the fact that nothing's being said that shouldn't be. My husband is my better half. He's going to step in and take care of that. However, he can read my body language. And if he feels like maybe I'm going to question something, he's going to address that immediately, if not sooner. Okay? Most of the times, I don't have to say anything or feel a ways, because he'll remind them, my wife is American. Don't do that. He'll let them know, especially the females. That's the ones who tries to be sneaky. The men, I'm fine with. Go ahead, talk. All of them, really, because I'm not intimidated by the women either. I shared that with you guys before. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. But I am so confident in the fact that my husband got it that I don't even worry about it. I don't even pay it any attention. I did see a question in the chat. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I will add though, when I'm around his wife, when him and his wife were together, when we met up for the first time and everything, and we'd be on the phone together, and she starts to speak the language, he said, no, English. So he makes her respect me, as far as like not trying to say something that I wouldn't understand. So that's the only other female outside of his family that I've been around with him. So I don't know about like the other female friends, because most of like his friends' wives, I've met a couple of his friends' wives and his brother's wife like over the phone, and they all speak perfectly good English. So it never really came up. And I know that they belong to the other people, like to the other people. So I've never been in a situation where females had been in the situation that I didn't know belonged to one of his friends or something like that. So that'll be interesting to see.
Really quickly, Kimberly, for anyone who may be new in tonight's chat, because you just said his wife, so can you just explain to them, just to clarify it now, I know it's going to go there, so you can just go ahead and take the time and clarify your situation, real briefly.
Okay, yeah. So I'm married to a man who has a wife. Okay. I did not know he had a wife at the time that he married me, but he was already married when he came to the United States and we got married. When he got deported, they got back in touch with each other and they had another baby. I had his baby here in the United States. When he got deported, he got back with her and she had his baby. I didn't know about it until shortly before I went to visit him in Africa. And so we met for the first time there. But yeah, my husband has a wife, girl.
And you're okay with the fact that he has a wife. Can you just elaborate just a little to let them know the sister wife thing?
Okay, I'm not okay with him having a wife, only because it's not equal. If it was equal to the point where, um, he's taking care of things here in the U.S., just as he's taking care of things for her in Nigeria, then I would be okay with it. But since I know that he's not able to, he can't handle it. He literally cannot handle it. Like even when I was there, he was so stressed about not trying not to disrespect me or her. Um, so because I know that he can't handle it and that it's not equal for me, like I still get the short end of the stick, then that's the only part of it that I'm not okay with. If he was legally, not legally, but financially able to do exactly what like she has a BMW truck, okay? Um, I drive a 2009 Prius, okay? So it is not equal, okay? He pays all her bills. They live in a nice, fancy place with elevators and stuff like that. Uh, I pay my own rent. You know what I'm saying? So if it's not, it's only because it's not equal that I'm not okay with it.
Okay, so I see where Tawala asks, how long have you guys been married or dating your husbands or boyfriend? So I was dating my husband 4.5 years before he came into the U.S., and we now have been married for 5 years.
Sorry. 2.5 years. But we're about to get married. So once he's here.
Um, I've been married to my husband since 2016, so we're going on 5 years. Girl, I don't even know if y'all can really even count the last few years because he ain't been here. Okay, but technically, we got married in 2016.
Okay, I see where Cicely say that's their culture. They should be able to speak their native tongue. Absolutely. Again, it does not bother me. I do acknowledge when the women are trying to speak their language, because they know we are American women and they do that on purpose. And I'm not intimidated by that either. Again, my husband addresses it, or, he just makes me comfortable. So I'm okay with that. I never had a problem. However, I do have some girlfriends that are with me at these same social gatherings, and they have a fit and they go off and they, get vocal about it, and a little disrespectful, blatantly disrespectful. I'm normally laid back and cool because I'm not concerned about that. But I absolutely agree. It's their native tongue and they should be able to speak their language. Mega love shout out to all of Team Happy coming in. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Looks like Judith is still on her phone call, so we're just going to go ahead. Let me just see if there's anybody else. She said yes, because some people want all the tea. Kim, exactly. I knew it when she said that. I was like, oh God, she opened up a can of worms. House of Jasmine, welcome in, sweetie. Thank you for being here. So the next question, you guys, do you ever believe that your significant other could have a secret woman or wife back in his country? And I'm just going to go ahead and answer. Absolutely not. Absolutely not for my husband. Lacey?
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe he could have anybody's secret. First of all, they tell on each other all the time anyway. So no, I don't believe it for him. And no, he's not that kind of person anyway. But I don't believe it.
Y'all get okay. From day one, me meeting him on that dating app, I've always in the back of my head thinking, yeah, he probably got a whole wife and like 10 kids back in Africa. Um, Once we got more serious, I always felt like he was holding something back from me, like he wasn't really, sharing with me his whole self. And then the whole thing happened with him going to prison, and I thought that maybe that was that where that feeling was coming from. And So when this wife thing came up for me, it didn't hit as hard as a lot of people thought. That, it was like, dang, you just still talking to him, you just okay with this. And I guess because I always kind of knew deep down, and I always prepared, I always would ask myself, if this happened, how do you feel about it? Like, what would you do in the situation? And I remember thinking, um because in the back of your head, people are always saying, okay, like, yeah, they're just trying to get a green card. They're just going to use you to get the green card. So then they can, as soon as they get the green card, they're going to bring their family over, and then you're going to be lost in the past. And I prepared myself for that. Like, that was the number one thing that my family was against. Nobody showed up to congratulate us for getting married. A lot of my family stopped talking to me. Like, literally, I have a brother right now who I just reached out to when I was taking TJ to school last month. Hadn't really spoken to him since I got married. Just completely disappeared out of my life. So I feel like that really fueled me to say, okay, prepare yourself for everything, because right now your family done gone. Okay, so it's gonna be you by yourself, whatever it's gonna be. So my thing was, if this man really wants to live in America that doggone bad, that he will marry somebody that he don't care about, that he don't love, that he don't have any type of deep feelings for, just to make his dream come true, who am I to get in the way? I'll help him. I'll help him. I just felt like at the end, we would always at least just be friends. Like, so I already kind of felt like that was the case, and I kind of prepared myself for it, but I really wasn't prepared for it. Once he went to jail, I thought, okay, that must be that whole thing he was holding back from me. And I really wasn't thinking about the whole wife thing, but it all made sense in the end, because we had a conversation right after we got married with this wife, which is why she's not completely innocent. But so it is what it is. I think she knew about me too, way earlier than she said she knew.
I do see a couple questions in the chat for you, Kimberly. Wow, that must have been a shock when you found out your husband was married. How does that impact your ideology or your belief system?
I think I don't really I don't think I really have any ideology. I probably need to look that word up before I answer that question. But my belief system, I guess that's what ideology is. Um, I always felt like men were liars. I always felt like men don't know how to tell the truth. I always felt like, you know, um, that, there's going to be some dishonesty in a relationship. And I always been a person that will say cheating doesn't in a relationship. Like, it really is about the two people that are involved. So even when I was dating American men, it always, I think I always had this belief that, yeah, he probably cheating. He probably cheating. Like, at some point, this is just what men do, type of thing. So it didn't really change it there. What changed was my the way I looked at myself. Like, I had really high self-esteem before I met my husband, and I had to really fight to keep it, so that it's not like turned around on me to where it's like something must be wrong with you, because you can't keep a honest relationship, or you are have you always seem to be going through something, so something must be wrong with you. So it took a lot of fighting for myself, that really what was it's like more inward. It wasn't even about him cheating, having a wife, none of that, because like I said, I was kind of prepared for it. In the back of my head, I always kind of felt like that's what kind of like what men do, or that's what African men come to America, they already have wives and stuff like that. um but it took a lot of therapy for me not to like beat myself up, like not forgive myself for just being like the optimistic and honest and wholehearted and trusting person that I am. It took a lot for me not to just turn cold hearted and just be like, you know, just, not wanting to be alive. And, it's just, to me, it just like went more inward. I still feel the same way I feel about men. It's like people mess up, people cheat, people lie, people, I mean, I've cheated on men too. It's not like it's always one-sided, but what is it that you can do for yourself? Like, what do you want for yourself? It was more inward. Like, what do you want? So I came out stronger saying like, hey, is this what I want for my life? Is this what I need in my life? Is this what's best for Prince? Is this what's best for me? So it's just like, it's more about myself than it is about him, if that makes sense.
I just want to go back to part one where she was addressing this issue. Keep in mind that she do have a young son with him, so it's not that easy to break the ties there. We have to keep that in consideration, and I'm open-minded when I look at her situation because she has to be a strong individual to endure that. It's a lot that comes with it. I'm sure she's not going to sit here and divulge everything here tonight, but it's a lot that comes with that. Can I see? Why stay married if he's not here and not financially being fair to both houses?
Basically, because it's expensive to divorce somebody in another country. Actually, what is divorcing him going to change? I think I addressed this in one of my, I don't know if it was a live or just a video where I was just kind of talking. There's nothing that's going to change the dynamics of our relationship by divorcing him. So the only thing I get is a piece of paper that says I can now go ahead and marry somebody else. And I don't really want to marry nobody else. I'm not really at that point where I want to be super committed to anybody else. I want to play the field a little bit. I want to date. I want to get to know some people. I want to, take my time because I have never taken my time in relationships. But the one thing that someone did point out to me is like, what about death? Like, if he were to die, what does he have access to? What is his rights and things like that? And that's a very serious question when we talk about divorcing him and things, especially if I was someone who had like a lot of assets and properties and money and things like that. But I ain't gonna say I'm poor, but I don't have it like that to the point where he will be getting, anything substantial. But the one thing I do worry about is, if I were to pass away, where would my child go? Things like that. And which I don't have a problem with him moving to Africa, obviously, because I've said several times that that's where I want to be. So hopefully when I pass, I will be in Africa with him, and those laws won't be in effect for the United States. So, because I'll be in Africa. But I mean, it's a lot of legalities to go through when you are trying to divorce someone, and he's already told me he's not going to make it easy for me. So I I just decided not to spend thousands of dollars trying to, make him sign a piece of paper that he don't want to sign in order for me to have nothing physically change in my life. Like nothing really is going to change. I cannot mute. Hold on.
And just really quickly, to piggyback off of that first question, in part one, we also all stated you can very well be with an American man who's already in a marriage. So she's just in a situation where it's out there in the open. However, a lot of people here in America are dating American men who are in committed relationships just the same. So, the best part about that one is, again, it's not something that I would go along with, but, there are different strokes for different folk. And again, she has a young son, so we have to take all of that in consideration. Mega love shout out to all of Team Happy that's still coming in. Thank you so much for being here. Do you think it's more than cheating though? He's married. If I'm asking too much, I'm sorry. I'm just intrigued.
I'm not sure I'm completely sure what you mean more than cheating, because I feel like this. We've had our conversations about this, like when he was, I don't know if you were a part of part one, but when he was in prison and all of like, all the conversation, how when they're in prison, they're more willing to talk and say things and confess things or whatever. And that conversation never came up. So to me, it's about the honesty. It's not even about that he had. Well, let me go this route. So for what he tells me, and I can only take it at face value, is that when he came here, he had no plans on staying here. They were both traveling. His wife had traveled to, I think, London, and he traveled to the United States. They were both traveling. It's things. One thing about Nigerians, they love to travel. Okay, so when he came here, he had no intentions on staying. But he said when he got here, things were just so beautiful, and he wanted to stay. He was having issues with her, and then he met me, and he's like, I could have never went back to her. The only thing that made me go back to her was the fact that I got deported. And when she found out that he was back in the country, she came back into the country too. So he wanted to change his life. He saw himself for more than what he was when he first came to the US. He saw possibilities. He saw, a different type of future and things of that nature. But the circumstances that we were in kind of pressured him back into doing something that he no longer wanted to do. And he ended up himself right back to where he started. So it really wasn't his intention. He should have told me from the beginning. I would admit that. But it really wasn't his intention to go back and stay married to her. Um, his intention was to stay in the US and build a family and a future with me. However, once I found out he was married to her first, I felt like it was a weight lifted off my shoulders, because it wasn't a situation where, oh, he had made all these promises to me and then he goes and he marries somebody else as soon as he get deported. He was already obligated to her, and he was pressured. I'm not even gonna say he was pressured, because you do what you want to do. But when he came back and she came back into town, she was like, "Oh, you owe me. I'm your wife. You're supposed to be with me." Blah 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 blah. And his family said that she just acted so crazy, coming to the house all the time and being it's hard to break up with Nigerians, female or male. So so it's just like he felt obligated to go ahead and give her what he promised her, which was a life with him. That's his story. So for me, it's just like, yeah, it's a whole wife. And they were together 5 years before he traveled, before they traveled apart. We were together, what, 3, 4 months before we got married. So there's a lot more history with them than there is with me. So I feel more to her side when it comes to like, it's not about cheating. No, it's not about cheating. It's about the dynamics of the whole family. What's going to be important for her? How do I feel about her? Like, that's why we needed to meet, and we need to have that conversation amongst ourselves. And it wasn't like a conversation where we were at each other's throats or we were like cursing each other out. We had a heart to heart conversation. She felt really, really bad that I was the one to have the first baby, because that's what she wanted with him. I felt really, really bad that she lives with him in an apartment that he pays for, because that's what I wanted from him. So it's just like we understood each other, we felt each other, and it became about, what do we both want? Like, aside from him, what do we both want? And she definitely told me, oh, I don't want to share him, because she's been in a relationship where her mother was in a polygamous relationship. So she grew up in polygamy. Um, and she says, I just don't like what polygamy does to the women, but I feel like I'm forced to be your sister wife. And I say, girlfriend, I'm from America. We don't do nothing we don't want to do. So you may feel forced, but I don't feel that forced. Like I don't feel like I have to stay in this relationship. So yeah, it's more than just cheating. It's people's lives, it's kids, it's finances, it's futures. So yeah, it's more than just cheating.
Okay. I see where Cicely asked, "Have you ever had a conversation with the other wife to verify his story?" She did talk about it in part one, and if you follow her channel, you can actually see she visited Nigeria just recently. She and her son went over, and she actually met and spent time with the sister wife. But she can tell you better than I can.
Now, I mean, verify his story is not something that it's all about like what do I believe? At the end of the day, whether he's lying, whether she's lying, it doesn't matter. It's like what I want. What do I want? Aside from whatever that I'm not trying to be a detective and figure out who lied first. I feel like both of them are lying. Okay. Because I remember having a conversation with her when I first found out I was pregnant, and he was like, "Oh, it's just an old girlfriend." And so I had a conversation with her to say, "Hey, this is my husband. I appreciate it if you just, let us be or whatever," and things like that very early on in our relationship. And she was like, "Okay, fine." She accepted that. Now I found out that she was the same person that I talked to once I had that conversation with her, because she was like, here's my number." And when started typing her number into my phone, it came up as the girl that I had already talked to. And I said, "Oh, so she knew." Okay, I think that her idea of what he was feeding her was that, "Hey, I'm just doing this so I can get my green card, and as soon as I get that, then I'm gonna bring you over and blah blah blah." I think he was feeding her that, and he was feeding me what he was feeding me. So it doesn't matter who lied or whose story was true.
Okay, it seems like Judith came back so she can kind of help out with some answering now. I don't know if you acknowledge where Cicely said, "Wow, this would be an amazing book." Absolutely. Absolutely. The next question, ladies, have you ever discussed final arrangements with your partner, and what does that conversation look like? I can go first. I absolutely have. Hubby has made it very clear that everything needs to happen here in the U.S. All of the decisions that I have made and we have made together, but like if he goes before me, he is completely okay with it, and vice versa. We have had that conversation because you have to think about this when you're talking about two different countries, and you need to be able to visit the grave of your significant other. So he made it very easy because, yes, he would like to be here. Judith?
No, not yet. I haven't had that discussion yet. We're still working out the kinks of him coming. So no, we haven't had that discussion yet. But of course we will have it. She wants to be the star.
Sorry for the baby in the background. She about to go to bed. No. I don't recall us having. No, honestly, I don't recall us having that conversation. I'm not sure, but I don't remember it if we did have it.
I would advise you guys to do so because you are absolutely in the process right now of having him come here, and God forbid something happens. You guys probably really need to hold that conversation. It's a conversation that a lot of people don't like to hold. Even people that's here in the U.S. do not like to hold that conversation. We all know that. A lot of people run from the conversation of final arrangements. However, how can anybody know how to honor your final wishes or make the best decisions without your input, without holding this conversation? So I shared with you guys before that I had an ex that passed away who was Muslim, first Muslim I ever dated. Unfortunately, in the time of his untimely death, his mother wanted me to be a part of the planning process, but she nor I knew what to do as far as a Muslim ceremony. So thank God those Muslim individuals are very hospitable. They came to the house, they walked us through it. They basically took care of everything and told us what was going to happen and offered us additional services if we needed it. It was my actual first time going to a Muslim funeral and his mother's as well. We got through it. It was definitely different. At the end of it all, it was like a big weight. But there were a lot of things that the Muslim tradition practices, which is totally different from us. I shared that there was a gentleman that walked over to the coffin and wanted to take pictures, and the Muslim brothers had a fit. Like, absolutely not. Like, they was getting him up out of there. I even shared that the Muslim brothers were coming in with clothing on, looked like they were construction workers. They were all covered in dirt and stuff, but come to find out, that's their tradition. They go to the actual gravesite and dig it themselves. And then they come to where you're having the ceremony, because the coffin that the individual is in is just a loaner. It's just a transport coffin. They don't stay in it, because when you take them to the gravesite, they have that body lifted out of the coffin, and the Muslim brothers get down in that hole, and they turn the body a certain way because it's supposed to be positioned to the sun, and then they lower the body directly into the ground. So it was completely different from us. So I'm saying it's very important to hold these conversations with anybody that you are planning on spending the rest of your life with, or a long period of your life. Like Lacey, you're young and you guys have this baby, and now he's coming to a whole new country for you and your child. I think it really is, and I'm speaking to you from as your aunt right now, very important for y'all to have that conversation. The sooner the better, because you just don't know. Kimberly?
Oh, sorry. This is a really good question, because I have been married to an American man, and we didn't have that conversation either. Okay, so I think African Americans as a whole kind of is lacking in that area of finalizing things, even if it's for our parents or our kids. Because now that you're mentioning Muslim, my son is in prison right now, and he just converted to Muslim. Now I'm thinking, okay, if he was to die, do I have to do the Muslim thing, or am I doing my Christian thing? Because I'm probably going to do my Christian thing. But I'm just saying, I don't know what he wants. Like, me and my sons haven't even had that question. So I think that is something that I should really put high on my priority list to figure things out. My Nigerian husband, no, we have not discussed that, but I'm pretty sure he will be in Africa. Um, I mean, we're not. I'm not the primary person to talk to about that anymore. So that would be his wife there. So I'm pretty sure everything would be handled in Africa, because he's not even allowed in the U.S. anymore. So I'm gonna just let them do their thing, and I'm not going to be involved. But when it comes to maybe like if Prince was to pass away, would it be disrespectful for me to not acknowledge their cultural beliefs or ceremonies and stuff like that? So that's really a good question, and it's got my brain kind of going. And I think that that's something that I'm gonna put high on my priority list. But no, I did not. We did not discuss that at all.
So when you mentioned it did pop to me, and I said to Lacey, once they're here and it's time even for work, for health insurance and all that stuff, that's the time to call Mr. Insurance Man and, do everything that needs to be done and have all the discussions about it that need to be had about it. She set up. If she go ahead and kill me, she all right. She set up. So I won't get on her nerves too bad.
Who said
Okay. Your mom. Listen, we will be discussing this a little more in depth. Just so you guys know, I have upcoming programs for myself for the whole immigrations process and what hubby and I had to face. We're going to start from that very first interview for a 2-year green card after they come and you marry them, and then they have to wait on their work authorization and stuff like that. So yeah, and their social security numbers that they are assigned. I'm going to walk you guys through that because I just shared in one of my live streams recently, had to go to the 10-year green card appointment. And I am now at a place where I'm ready to speak a little more about the immigrations process. I touched on it in the past, and I said I couldn't really go too in depth because it's still open. But some things have come to a close now, so I will be uploading that. You guys can look for that within the next week or so. I'm going to do an upload first, explaining our experience with Homeland Security. And then after that, I'm going to do a live stream where anyone who may be going through the process can chime in, ask questions. We can rub minds, whatever. I've gone through it all now. There's nothing that I wouldn't help anybody that may be interested or actually already in the midst of going through the whole immigrations process. So we will talk about that. But in speaking about that now, it is very important, Lacey, because believe it or not, they're gonna require that you guys have life insurance policies on one another, and that they want to see that you're the owner of his policy, and then vice versa. They want to make sure. As far as the baby, they want to see who's the owner of that policy. Is it co-owned by you two or just you or whatever? Make sure that you are tuned into that one. These two upcoming, like I said, one is an upload. The next one's going to be a live stream, and we're going to get really, really in depth. I know we talked about it a lot in the past, and people had a lot of questions, and that's what made me take my own personal situation, and I'm willing to go through it with you guys. But okay.
I'm flipping the whole script because I'm going back to Cicely. According to Cicely's first question about changing my ideology, something just popped into my head about that. I will say this whole situation has made me open to the polyamorous world. So I am also just considering being in a poly relationship here in the United States. Like, it doesn't have to be an African person or anything like that. But my ideology about relationships probably changed with that. I guess that would be a better way to answer your question. It was very internal, but now I'm also like considering being in a throuple.
To answer your question, Cicely, absolutely. You would be amazed with the information that you have to share with immigrations. It gets really deep. It gets really invasive. Again, I have a number of things that I will be sharing between that upload and the live stream. Please make sure you're tuned in for that. Very invasive. And I'm going to talk about what I know, what I've experienced with them. I'm not going to talk about other people's experience. I can't do that. I'm going to talk about my very own. Really crazy. And I've shared with you guys, if you walk in the immigrations building, you will never walk out in good spirits. You will never walk out the same way. Their job is to chastise you and to tear your marriage apart. Their ultimate goal is to separate you and to threaten the immigrant with deportation. And believe me, they have their guns cocked before you even pull up on their premises. They're waiting for you. Just stay tuned. This week I will be again uploading, and then I'm going to do a live stream where I'm going to be open to answer anything that I possibly can about the whole process, from my husband getting here to us getting married, all the way up through now, current day. So the next question I have for the ladies: what happens if you bring your Nigerian man into the U.S. and he cheats? Judith?
What happened and what?
What happens if you bring your Nigerian man here and he cheats?
Oh, welcome back to Nigeria. Because I'll be damned if my sense is going to help another woman. Now, you can forget that. Go ahead.
I agree. Sorry, but I have to call the people. And yeah, he cheated. So sorry. I have to find someone else. Sorry, no, let me stop. No, you know what's funny? I've never dealt with cheating before in a relationship. I don't really know how I would handle it and process it. I guess I'll go through my emotions and everything. If it's something I can get over, then I'll get over it and then not bring it back up. Pray about it, give it to God, and leave it at that. If it's something I feel like I can't get over, then yes, he has to go back to Nigeria.
My turn. Okay. Well, so I had already been through that. No, I'm serious. Seriously though, I just feel like I would handle it um as if it was an American man who cheated. Like, if this is something worth keeping, are we both willing to work on it? Are we going to be going to couples counseling? Things like that. Like I said in the beginning, I don't think that cheating is the end of a relationship, because I've been in a situation where I've cheated and I definitely didn't want to end the relationship. So I just feel like it depends on the two people. Like, are we still wanting to be together, or if there's something where it's just like, yeah, I cheated because I'm just not happy and I'm ready to move on, then let him move on. I would not call the immigration people. I would just let him live his life and I live my life. Like, I'm not a snitch. So no. As long as he's not making my life difficult and he is able to move on and I'm able to move on, I don't see any reason to like call immigration or have him sent back and things like that to be spiteful. Like, I've never been that spiteful person when it comes to that kind of thing. But then again, first time for everything. I might snap and, y'all might see me on the news or something. I don't know. But my first thought is to try to reconcile things.
Obviously, I agree with you, Kim, as far as reconciling, because I am in a marriage that I consider solid. Um, Everything is said and done. I will treat it just like any other relationship. However, if I need to separate, then we need to separate. If it eventually turns into a divorce, and that's very unfortunate, because I've shared with you guys that I told Tony this is a forever thing, then so be it. But I'm not going to treat it any different from as if I was in a relationship with an American man who cheated. I just don't really tolerate cheating. However, this is a marriage, so this is different, and I have to handle it differently. I will be open for counseling and things like that. But I'm just not going to get rid of the marriage just like that. We have to work through some things. I have to see what we can salvage, because it's not just like dating somebody. Again, it's a whole marriage. And like I said, with your situation, you have to take in consideration your son. We are now adopted parents for these children, so we have to take a lot in consideration as well. Do I see Tony doing it? Absolutely not.
I would like to say as well, because I don't want it to just be like, oh, he cheated, she's sending you back. No, and I would also like to say that for me, it has been 2.5 years. We do have a kid together. We are not married yet. However, I'm just, trying to make my case a little more. But I am going to say that Mine is still, to me, still kind of fresh as well. For me, I had to do the visa process and everything. So I feel like I'm putting all this time, money, I'm waiting, and you gonna get over here and cheat? Like, this something you could have, if you choose to, whatever you wanted to do, you could have did that while you was still in Nigeria. Okay, you do that and not let me find out about it. Or if you felt a way, you let me know how you feel and have this communication with me. That's why I feel how I feel about it.
Kimberly, you wanted to say something?
I put it in the chat because I was responding to the Woods way about, you being financially responsible for him once you guys have sponsored an immigrant. Yes, that is correct. You are
Yes, you're
still
not gonna be in the United States, and I didn't have to do all this, and I'm financially responsible for however long, and I done had education and all of that for you to get over here and cheat. No, see, that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
but I think I didn't go all the way through our process of immigration because of him going to prison and being deported. So I didn't get too deep into the whole thing like MrsAmaechi did. But on the paperwork that we were filling out as sponsoring him, it does say 10 years. 10 years financially responsible. I guess it doesn't necessarily, I mean, depending on the type of man he is, if the courts don't know that you ain't financially supporting him, it's not like, you have to pay him alimony or something like that. Unless he were to take it to court and make you do that. But most Nigerian men are not going to stoop that level. Okay, they're going to want to be their own man, and they're not going to want a woman taking care of them. Most of them. But I do have an American ex-husband who stooped that level. Okay, the American man did, but I don't think my Nigerian husband would. But yes, you would be financially responsible for them, so they can't really sign up for public assistance, like food stamps and Medicaid and stuff like that. Like, you have to be their sponsor. You're sponsoring them, so yes, you are financially responsible for them.
You don't necessarily have to be financially responsible for 10 years. If the individual came in, so let's just use Lacey for an example, because she's actually going through a transition of bringing her fiance into the U.S. When he comes in, depending on the type of visa that they would have 90 days to have an American ceremony here, because she's already gone to his country and had a ceremony. So when they come into this country, 90 days to have the American ceremony. Once that ceremony is completed, there is some documents that she would have to fill out and he would have to fill out. It goes together with the marriage certificate and everything that they sign on the day of the American ceremony. All of this paperwork is submitted in order for him to obtain a social security number and work authorization. That normally can come in the mail from 9 months to a year. So that's why I said the first year you would have to do things the way you're doing them now before he got here, independently financially, because you are, in fact, would be the breadwinner, because he would not have work authorization just yet. The moment he receives those documents in the mail and they come together, he is free to go and look for employment. It used to be a little easier before Trump took office, because there were still some under the table jobs. However, now things have changed. If you notice, a lot of the foreigners, like Mexicans who used to do like the lawn care and stuff, you weren't seeing them out there because a lot of them didn't have their legal documentation, and so they couldn't be out there like that anymore, because Trump actually had people going into the transit places like the trains and the buses and stuff, and going on to these forms of transportation and grabbing people off of there, carding them. If they didn't have the proper documentation, they were being detained and then possibly deported. So a lot of people started hiding indoors. They're not coming out like that anymore. since Trump took office. Now that Biden's in office, nothing has really changed. He has not been able to turn all these laws back, if he ever will. It's going to take a while to undo all the things that Trump has done. But no, the moment this individual receives their work authorization, they can actually work and they are assigned a social security number. In addition to that, you can apply for some food stamps and stuff because the individual is in your home and you are the petitioner. So you can apply. You just would have to furnish them with all of the immigration documentation that comes with the individual. So they would want to see the assigned social security card and the work authorization and any ID that they can get, like a non-driver's license from a motor vehicle. It is a lot that they have to go through in order to obtain these things. However, it is achievable. Just so you know, a lot of people are encouraged to get themselves immigration's attorney because they have us out here filling out documents and we're not really clear on what we're doing because you do not come from that type of country, so you don't know how very, very important and very detailed it is. And if you just make one mistake, they can deny this whole process and have you start all over. And then you have to hire an attorney, and it's $10,000. So you have to be very careful when you're dealing with immigrations. And I would always encourage to get someone who is knowledgeable, like an immigration's attorney, to handle all your documentation.
Yeah, I was doing that myself. And we didn't get very far because of the whole work thing. And then I felt like I was pregnant, so I was bedridden. I had a really tough pregnancy. So he was trying to find jobs under the table and stuff like that, couldn't find anything, and he went back to what he knew. And so ultimately that destroyed all the progress that we had made, because as soon as he got arrested, his work authorization card came in the mail. So we could have just held on a little bit longer. But he felt that pressure. So I didn't get very far into that process, but I do remember seeing that on the documentation. And for him, he was already here. We were just switching. We were changing the status of his visa. I think that's what we were doing. So it wasn't like 90-day fiance where he was coming over for marriage. He was already here.
Yeah, your situation is a little different, just like mine. I didn't invite my husband into the country. I said that in part one. So you guys will have to go back and watch that to catch up on that. I didn't do it. His brother, he was invited into the country by way of his brother. Yes, we were speaking when he was in Africa, but I didn't do all of that like a lot of women go, like what Lacey's did. She went over, she met him, she had the ceremony, and now she's bringing him to America. I didn't do that, so I wasn't responsible for that. However, once I married him, yes, I am the petitioner. I go on the documentation for him and his children because we are a married couple and the children are included, just like these kids here are included. It is a lot, even from where I stand. However, I just didn't have to go through as much as like Judith and Lacey, who traveled over to Africa and then had their ceremony. And then, I don't know, did you guys bring the paperwork back with you or you filed it once you got here?
I haven't filed paperwork because that ceremony was with number 2. But Lacey filed paperwork this year in February for her K1 visa to bring him over as her fiance.
Yeah, you guys definitely want to go back and check out part 1 for this because we really got into some things in part 1. The questions that I'm asking here tonight were questions that were DM'd to me once everyone viewed the first segment in part 1. So we're just complying because I put it out there in part 1 that on the next day I will put on my community tab any questions that anyone wanted to ask that they forgot or just didn't have time to in part 1. And these are the questions that we're asking tonight. Go ahead, Judith.
So I wanted to go back a little bit about what would happen if he comes here and he cheats. If when you're married, it's a totally different story as to dating. So, and when you a sister that's been through, that's where you get to the point of Judithism. When you're just tired. And that's why I can say I can stand alone. I'd rather you leave me than to cheat on me. So that's, and I say that always. No, it didn't always happen. But I'm trying a new thing with Nigerian men. So maybe it will be a little different when I let them know, whenever, if ever, you're tired and you want somebody else, it's best to discuss with me and be the situation than to cheat on me. Because once you cheat, and yes, that's how I feel. I'm done. So, however.
Okay. Do you feel more financially safe with Nigerian men versus American men? We can start with Kimberly.
I know this is going to sound like the opposite of what I just said, but about him not really providing for me financially as equally as he does his other wife. Um, but I do feel more financially stable with him than with all the other relationships that I've had. I'm not going to say with American men in general, but with all the other relationships that I've had. This is the most financially stable. That says a lot. But this is the most financially stable relationship that I have had, only because of the dedication that he did put in to try to provide. And that in those beginning, that year I was pregnant and we were going through a whole lot of things and he couldn't work. Like the amount that he sacrifices with selling his own clothes, is doing his own thing to try and to provide. And he showed me something that I've never seen in any other relationship. However, in the situation that he is in now, I can kind of understand why he's not able to provide for both, because American rent is way more expensive than Nigerian rent. So trying to take care of both equally is going to be almost impossible when the numbers are not equal. So I can kind of understand it, but I also feel like if I were in Africa, like when I was there, the way that he took care of me as best as he could, like I didn't really ask for anything. Like I had no fear whatsoever that um my needs and things were not going to be taken care of. So the apartment that I stayed in, the food that we ate, the places that we went and stuff like that. But I always saw the worry on his face of, am I going to have enough to do this? Am I going to have enough? So it's not like he didn't want to. It's more like he just don't have it. So that's the case here. And I just feel like instead of stressing yourself out trying to provide for two people, just do you and provide for the cheaper one, and I'll be all right. Um, so I hope that answered that.
Judith?
I'm sorry, can you say the question again?
Do you feel more financially safe with Nigerian men versus American men?
So this is how I feel. I believe that financially, Nigerian men are more stand up than American men. I absolutely believe that I would want for nothing once he's here and able to be employed. So I'm absolutely yes times 1,000.
Now, Lacey?
I agree with what my mom said. I'm in agreement with that.
Okay, again, because my situation is a little different, I can just tell you that the moment hubby showed up here, he was in a good financial spot. The first questions that he asked on day one, we had this conversation. How much does it take to run the household? And I'm like, asking, like, what do you mean? How much do I pay to stay here? And he was like, no. What is your monthly household bills? And when I told him, he said, okay, I got that. So you do whatever you need to do, but I'll take care of that. So that was not a problem. And I was sharing with the ladies, like from day one, him coming here, whenever I came home, the money was sitting, because I always sit in the same spot. So the money is sitting here, or the check or whatever, laying there, like, just give me whatever. So I would have to absolutely say, yes, they are very much stand-up guys in comparison to American men. They make sure they take care of the family, not just you, the individual, the family. If they are financially able, like when, again, with Lacey's situation, he needs to come here and get himself situated. But when he do, he's going to take care of Lacey and that baby and Judith's friend as well. That's just what they do culturally. They would go and get a second job or pick up a hobby to take care of their own needs. But I share with you guys that when Tony, like when it's some mornings, like if I know he's not feeling well, and the next morning I'm babysitting him, because just like a baby, you look after your husband just like you look after the children. And so I'll say, you look like you're not up to it. And he's like, oh no, I got to go make your money. So that's his mindset. I have to go make your money. So he don't want to miss any days. That's just the way it goes. You guys, I'm not saying that every single Nigerian man behaves this way, but I'm telling you, even men that were my coworkers, I watched them take care of their families. I watched them call their wives and Cashapp that money to them, or however, Zelle, PayPal, whatever. It is just their culture. If you have any Nigerian friends, female friends, visit their home, see how nice they're living. I always say American people talk down on them, but obviously they're missing something. They missed the mark, because these people are living, just look at their clothing. Not saying that they all dress nice, but they like name brand handbags, jewelry, everything. Just like American people. If you go to their country and see how they're living, you would be amazed, like, what the heck do you want to come to America for? Their homes are beautiful. So if you get a good one, and 9 times out of 10 you will, aside from, and I will be honest here, there are some that comes here and marry people and live with them and play that whole role, husband and wife, and then eventually here come a sister. I've shared this before. Here come a sister. Now the sister living with y'all. The sister living in the basement or upstairs in the extra room or something, and helping y'all take care of the kids. And he helped put his sister through the school. And once the sister finished school, he up and leave with the sister, because guess what? That wasn't his sister. Some of those women are down with it. Any way to get to America and get the benefits, they're down with it. So you have to be mindful of that as well. So, but I'm still confident in my spot, and I'm saying to you guys, absolutely my husband would not do this kind of stuff. It might be something else that we break up from, but I'm not in danger of it being like cheating or having an extra wife or anything like that. I told y'all how he feel about the baby mom, and I told y'all I would go more in detail with that when I can. So the next question. Ladies, what made you decide to give up on dating American men?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to add to the last question. I couldn't unmute the computer. That although he's not here, he do still send money. So financially, he is still helping out. I mean, I tell him not to. Like, you keep money. But go ahead, we can go to the next question. I'm sorry.
And the question is, what made you decide to give up on dating American men? And I can go first because I have a number of things. I was with a gentleman. The last American man that I dated really put me through some things. And shame on me for not leaving him. And he actually ended up leaving me. Shame on me. But I'm okay with it now. I wasn't okay with it when it happened, but I'm okay with it now because I know everything happened in divine order. I had to go through those things in order to get to my husband, my king. This man was so trifling, y'all. He did everything, what I call the stupid tax, what a lot of people call the stupid tax. He cost me a lot of money. This man, you ever been with a man that was jealous of you, that he was destroying your stuff? This man, when I was getting new furniture and I couldn't understand it, his aunt had to share this with me. And God rest her soul. And I think I shared that with y'all before, where he was poking cigarette holes in the arms of my new furniture. And here I just can't figure out what the heck is going on with my furniture. And I'm thinking it's the kids. Never in my mind would I think it's the man I'm laying next to. This man, whenever we got into an argument, will grab his box of cereal off the top of the refrigerator, put it up under his arm, and he leaving. To me, that is so trifling. So you going to take this cereal away from my son? I have a son. So, my mind isn't that, my mind is, you took the cereal from my son. Like, really? Think I told y'all that this man had women coming in my home. I used to work overnight. I used to work 2 full-time jobs. I used to work in the day, come home and change and go back, sleep a little bit and then go work overnight. And he was bringing women into my apartment and telling them that I was his aunt and my son was his cousin. Men do some trifling things. I found that part out later. I didn't know that at the time. But I'm saying it's a lot of things that this man has put me through. I was just sharing with Kimberly before we got on the live stream how one day he was so mad that I was about to go out and I went in a shower, and this man, y'all, he's so calculated and so trifling, because that's what these men do. And I'm sorry, American brothers, I got to call y'all out on it. This man went into my closet and took the right foot, how calculated he is and dangerous, of every shoe that I own and bagged it up and drove it and threw them in the river. Like, let me see you go somewhere now. Because I was about to get dressed and go out. Like, how stupid was that? How stupid was that? Like, my glasses. I told you, if you want to cripple me, take my glasses. This man caused me 5 days of employment. And after 3 days, you have to come back with a doctor's note. This man took my glasses away and would not give them back. And we're walking around for days like, come on, this is silly. Like, you costing me work. Like, what are you doing? Again, these my younger years. You put up with a little more. And he was like, nah, you ain't going to work. You ain't going nowhere. This man took my glasses away, y'all. Crazy, petty, deranged. Like, what? Why would you do this? For 5 days, we were walking around, me, my niece, we could not find these glasses. One day I go, turn the light switch on, the ceiling fan go, and click, 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 my glasses was up there. I still didn't get them because when they clicked in the ceiling fan, they were all broken and bent, like the arms. This man cost me my job because of silly stuff. Like, you can't be man enough to talk to me in the house and deal with stuff. You do this kind of stuff, and when a person do that mental stuff, they're narcissists. You have to be very careful. I didn't understand that when I was younger. When you're younger, and I'm telling you, in my 20s, you think that this person, oh, he's so silly. He do all this because all this love. That is crazy. But I knew it was crazy what he was doing, but I just didn't know how to associate it with being a narcissist. Baby, when I got up out of that relationship, anybody that approached me, that put me in the mind of that brother, can't get a chance. They couldn't get a chance. It's crazy the stuff that men would do. And I can tell y'all some stories. And this is all from one brother. He was the one that made me say, hats off to Black American men. No more of that BS. I told y'all I went and abstained for 6.5 years. And that was the time where I was trying to put myself through school. and take care of my son, and the guy just happened to be in prison, and I was pen paling with him, and it all worked. After going through that foolishness, you would do it too. I had to abstain. That's what put me in the mindset. Ladies, I'm telling y'all, men are trifling, and they will do things to break you down and destroy you every single time. These black American men, they're so petty. They get on the level where they behave like another woman. So that's how you have to handle them. Like another BI, because that's what they behave like. So that's what made me. And if that's not enough, I don't know what to tell y'all. But that's some of the things that I had to endure. And I told y'all about the guy that I was with. Same guy. And this is what I'm saying. Shame on me for not leaving him. Helped him raise his children until the baby mom got the check for, they had a child together that passed. And so when that check cleared, when that lawsuit cleared, took them kids while I was at work and went on right back to her, because you know why? It's cheaper to keep her. All the money can stay in this household, but if I stay over here with Wanda, then she only gonna give me a cut. So that's how trifling guys are. And I told y'all, after a lot of years, he came back and apologized, but it's never gonna undo all the stuff that you did. It's never gonna undo it. And I'm just not willing to go through that foolishness with anybody no more. So again, hats off to everybody that's dating them. Not to say that every American man is like that, but he's not the only trifling one I've been with. He's just the last one. Kimberly?
Listen, I still love my black brothers. Okay, I am not. I have not given up or stopped dating black men. I have met some amazing black men, but they either are already taken or they are, in this middle thing where they are like leaving something or whatever, and it's just like a whole lot of like baggage and unresolved issues and things of that nature. So I don't think that I have completely like, it's like, no, I'm not dating no more African American men, but I do have a preference of an African uh male. That is what I would like to spend the rest of my life with. But you know how you make your list and you tell God your plans, and he can do something the complete opposite of what you thought was going to happen. So I'm not going to say, yeah, I am not dating any more black men. I'm dating what God has for me. So if that happens to be an African American man, if that happens to be a Chinese man, if that happens to be uh, a Nigerian man, my preference is a Nigerian man. Okay, but if it's not, but I'm not going to say, yeah, oh, you're not Nigerian, I can't date you. That's not where I'm at.
So um, I think I can't say American men I wouldn't date. I could probably say African American men. I would think so that I would date an Asian man because that's never been on my radar before I dated an African American man. So, yeah, I prefer the Nigerian man. But yeah, I can't. Again, life has taken me through so much. Like my sister said, now I have not had anyone to take all of my right shoes or left shoes and put them anywhere. Because I would hunt them down like the rabbit dog he is. Okay. But yeah, yeah, African American men. I could definitely say no, thank you.
Well, I'm going to say that I don't know if I necessarily have given up on dating. Was it dating American men? But I just, my husband found me. So that's just where I have to leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. It's the point of no return for me. I've shared that with y'all in part one. No, I'm done. Um, I can go on and on and on. I'll have y'all here all night telling y'all situations I went through with that man, and it's just, and then just the way he left. He let me go to work one day, and he just up and took his kids and tried to take things out of my house. And if it wasn't for my sister, she went down there like, listen, if you and my sister breaking up, that's one thing. But you will not take things out of her house. You need to call back and talk to her and set something up. And then she need to, set it up where you can arrange to come get your stuff. But you will not take stuff out of my sister's house. You're free to take your kids and you can go. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell y'all, this how good I am. He contacted me. And I let him come get the stuff. Even everything that I bought those kids. Just take it. Because you're gone. Just take it. I put it down in my garage, so all I had to do was open the door and let him grab it. Oh, but I let him take it. And people were like, you a better woman than me. I said, listen, I don't need none of that baggage. I often use this example that Steve Harvey uses. And I said that he said when he was younger, he had an old bad car out in the yard. And he kept saying to his mom, I'm going to get this new car. I've been saving my money. She said, yeah, I know, son, but your old car out in the yard. He said every week he was coming home like, Mom, I just put some more money down. I'm going to get that new car. I know, son, but your old car is still out in the yard. So he said after about 3 times, he asked her, Mama, why every time I tell you I'm going to get this new car, it's like you don't have faith in me. You keep telling me. She said, because if you ask God for something, you have to make a way to receive it. So as long as he kept that old car, things wasn't going to change for him. So why did I need to keep anything that belonged to that man and his children? I had to let it all go in order to free up some space so I can get into a different mindset. I don't want to hate people or dislike people. But the problem was with him. And I had to learn to not have other people pay for what someone else has done wrong to me. And so that's the way I navigate through life. I save everything for who it's for. That was for that brother. Again, he came back years and apologized, and I was able to say everything I needed to say to him. Of course, he was in a different headspace, but that's okay, because I still I was harboring those feelings, and I had to say those things to him. So it is what it is. Final question, ladies. What would you do if things did not work out? And I think we kind of all touched on that a bit. But just, for the sake of answering their question, for me, it has to work out. This is it. I told hubby that. This is it. God forbid we separate, I don't even want to think like that. I'm getting like him now. I don't even want to entertain that. But this is it. We have to work this out. We have to exhaust all possibilities and do whatever it takes. We have to.
For me, I'm trying to get to the place that Wanda is at. If I get married, yes, I will walk through hellfire to save it as long as it's healthy. I don't need unhealthy. I don't like my peace disturbed. So, as long as we have a flow and things are all right, then I'm willing to work on what I need to work on to make sure that we as long till death. That's what the marriage vow say.
Well, that was my answer. Till death do us part. Because right. this is what it is. Once we get married, we together. There's no not working out. So that was my answer. Till death do us part.
Well, y'all know things did not work out that great for me and my husband. He's still technically my husband on paper, but we are not literally together. We're really not together. So to answer that question, if things don't work out, things just don't work out. Ain't nothing you can do but move on. Be hopeful about your own future and take care of whatever business you have. What we have between us now is our son. So anything that goes, I was watching another YouTuber of mine that I really, really admire about how she has this great co-parenting relationship with her husband, not her husband, with her child's father. And I'm hoping to get to that point with our situation where we have like a really amazing blended family, where we can take trips together with the kids and his wife and stuff like that, and we can, come together for their birthdays and stuff like that. I'm really hoping to be close to his new wife or first wife, um, as our kids get older, because right now her son is like not even talking and stuff like that. But yeah, you just move on. I don't know any other thing that you can do if it don't work out, but to move on. I mean, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to. Um, it ain't gonna be no what you call it, with the people, one of them Shakespeare plays where they both end up dying and stuff. No, we're not doing that. We just gonna move on. Okay. And then I did see another question someone asked about what is the meaning of marriage for me. I will probably say that the meaning of marriage, I don't even know how to answer that question, but I will say probably it doesn't mean, like, marriage doesn't mean as much to me anymore as it used to. Like, I don't really, I'm not going to say I don't value marriage. I value marriage enough to where I wouldn't engage in marriage again the same way that I have before. Because in the beginning, like when I married my first husband, who was American, African American, we also got married within 4 months of meeting each other. And I remember walking down the aisle thinking, girl, if it just don't work out, just divorce. You can divorce him. My mindset walking down the aisle was not, we're gonna be together forever. Like I did not see marriage in that way. But now I have a respect for relationships, not necessarily marriage, but just relationships and people in general, to where I just want something honest and committed. Doesn't have to really be called a marriage. That's where I am.
So you're basically over it. Um, I absolutely love being married. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I still get butterflies when my hubby touch me, when he says little things to me. I shared in part one that this man, I believe it was part one of this one, how he still texts me little things. Sierra, if she's in here, she like to say it. Still send me pics throughout the day and things like that. The spice is absolutely still there. And sometimes I'll just pick up the phone. If I notice he didn't do it, I'll initiate it. And I like to put a smile on his face too. So thank God it is still there. And hopefully it is not going to burn out anytime soon, because I like to do things to keep it a little spicy. Of course, we as women go through some things when we hit a certain age and we're not interested. Oh, baby. But again, I got this friend named Judith, and she whipped me right back into shape when we was having a girl talk once. Yeah, things are great now. I think I even gave you an update, Judith. Things are wonderful. I just want to thank everybody that was on the panel tonight. Thank you so much, ladies. Judith, Building Ace Legacy, Lacey, Kimberly, Arlinda, thank you so much. I see Sierra saying she's still here. Cicely said, yep, you got to make room to receive the blessing. Absolutely. This has been a great part 2. Maybe we can all get together again, ladies. I don't know. If the DM should come to me with some more questions, I will reach out to you, ladies, and let you know. Thank you, everybody that tuned in tonight. I did see that our numbers were really high. Oh, my God. Thank God. Guess it's getting late for some people. You know, people are tuning in from all over. So I don't know where everybody was located, but thank you so much. And for anybody that go back and watch the replay, don't just stop here. Go back and watch part 1. Bring it on home. Please head over to Just Being Kimberly's channel. Check her out. Awesome content. What's your name?
You mixed me up with Sierra. It's just it's being Kimberly Arlinda.
I'm so sorry. Being Kimberly Arlinda, I'm so excited to tell y'all about her. Go watch her journey. She has it all out there for you guys. She even takes us along when she goes to Africa. But things started, she has it out there when he got deported, what she had to go through mentally. Go watch it. It's like a series. If you could watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you could watch 90 Day Fiance, and you could watch my favorite, Love After Lockup, you can go watch Kimberly's content. I'm telling you, listen, I'll be there like this. Kimberly had me going. Kimberly has awesome content. Go check her out. Building Ace Legacy.
We're going to be the Nigerian housewives.
They do have that though. They do have the Real Housewives of Nigeria. So that came out this year, I do believe.
We are going to be a better rendition because we're in the U.S. hunty, okay? We are the Real Nigerian Housewives of
Not for long.
the U.S. Yes,
Not for long.
most of those housewives aren't and married anymore, just like them basketball wives. So yes, for long. But please go check out Building Ace.
I won't be in the U.S. for long.
Long as you have internet, you all right.
Check out Building Ace Legacy. Again, she is a newer channel. However, we've been on her, riding her, and she getting some content out there. Go check her out. Nice little. She's actually showing us her bringing the fiance on into the U.S. So she just recently went shopping for wedding gowns. She showed you from the beginning. Go back and check out her journey. Showed you their actual ceremony, her little daughter, her little princess that she got out of the whole marriage, because that's what I call it. They just got to bring them here and go ahead and seal the deal in America, but it's already done. So go check out her channel as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Good night, good night, good night. Love and respect to you all. God bless.